Hello everybody, welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and today I'm going to attempt the 4 literary white whales video, except I'm cheating and there's 5. This is a video that has been making the rounds the past couple of weeks, and it's not a tag, but it's operating like a tag. The idea was originated by Daniel at Guilty Feet, and I will link his original video down in the notes. And the idea here is to present your white whales, those books that you have aspired to read for many years and somehow never got to them. They could be books or authors. And some people have limited it to books they actually have in their possession that they have just never read. But I'm not really doing that because my worst one, the one that I feel most badly about, I don't even have a book by this author. So mine are kind of a combination of specific books and authors. Before I get into it, I want to highlight my visual aids. I looked around, I thought, well, I don't really have any, whale related type props or anything. And then I thought, well, maybe I do. So I did find this t-shirt. So I have a ship, insert beautiful fashion pictures. I have, you can't see them probably, I have anchor earrings, and I have a compass necklace that actually twirls. How great is that? Oh, and best of all, I do have a whale. It's not a white whale, but an orca will have to do. Thank you, Shamu. So there you have it, dorky props. Now we're ready to talk about the books. All right, the first literary white whale that I want to talk about is Henry James. Henry James, an American author. I've only ever read 2 of his books. I read The American for a class long ago. Why did they pick that book for the class? That was my introduction to Henry James, and I almost died of abject boredom. I did not keep this book. Somewhere along the way, it was an old kind of, I don't know, it was a paperback. It was kind of yellow. I gave it away at some point, but it was, that was my impression of Henry James. And if you look up any article about best books by Henry James, this book never will appear on these lists. So why this particular professor thought we should all read The American, I don't know, but that was not a good introduction. Later on, I did get a copy of Washington Square, and I really love Washington Square, and I would like to reread it. It's much slimmer than The American. It's a much better story. I really enjoyed it. And that is the end of my Henry James experience. I stopped there, and I don't know why. I have a copy of Portrait of a Lady. And when you do look at those lists of best Henry James novels, this one is always on it, along with titles like Turn of the Screw, Daisy Miller, What Maisie Knew, The Bostonians, The Golden Bowl. I'm totally familiar with what I should read of Henry James. I just haven't done it. And the obvious choice would be to start with Portrait of a Lady, since I have it here. It's a nice copy. I can't explain why I've never gravitated to trying this. Let me know what you think about Henry James. Good, boring, which one should I read? Should I read Portrait of a Lady? Should I start somewhere else? Should I just forget about it and read Washington Square again and let it lie? I don't know what to do. All right, so these are in no particular order except for number 1, because that's the one that really bothers me. So the rest of these, I know I ought to read these, but it's not causing me any particular consternation. But the one that I put in place, number 1, that one I actually feel kind of guilty about. Okay, but that was number 5. Number 4 comes from Shakespeare. I've read a lot of Shakespeare. I took numerous classes, maybe not numerous classes, but several classes specifically about Shakespeare in college. And I have lightly begun rereading Shakespeare recently. Right now I'm reading Station 11, and they perform Shakespeare a lot, and that just watching the show got me to reread Hamlet earlier this year. And now that I'm reading the book, I'm thinking about King Lear and A Midsummer Night's Dream. But there is one play that is considered one of his most famous and iconic plays that I have never read, and I don't know why. And it's Othello. Why have I not ever read that? It was never assigned and I never picked it up on my own. I'm aware generally of the plot and the themes, but I've never read Othello. And I feel like this is a hole in my Shakespearean, I don't know, what's the word? Experience. It's not for lack of having a copy. Here's a chance to show off my Shakespeare volumes again. I have this big old giant, this weighs 1,000,000 pounds, this big giant one that I got for Christmas when I was in high school. I love this book, but it's so huge that this is not my reading copy. And then I have this one, The Riverside. This is the one I actually use when I'm reading Shakespeare. So it's sitting here. It's always been sitting here. I just haven't read it. And I don't even know if that's the one I'm going to read next. Because like I said, I'm kind of, I have this thing, I'm feeling drawn to King Lear and Midsummer Night's Dream right now. So, but I just had to get that off my chest that I have never read Othello. Sorry, not really sorry. I will read it. I just haven't done it. Number 3 is a case of, I have read a couple of books by this author, but not enough. And it's kind of a pretty glaring omission for somebody who reads a lot of American literature, a lot of 20th century American literature, and that is Toni Morrison. I have read and I own these 2 books, Beloved, which I really do love and have read 2 or 3 times, and then also A Mercy, which I liked. Didn't really love, I liked it. It was good. I didn't love it as much as Beloved, but that's about it. I feel like I have read one more and it was so far back that I can't remember which one it was, which I think means it doesn't really count. And I even looked through some plot synopses and they all sounded familiar. So I don't know if that's because I read one of them or I've heard about them so many times. So that's pretty bad. As far as I know, I have not read Sula, Song of Solomon, The Bluest Eye. I just have not, and I don't really know why, because I'm not sure why when I read this, I didn't immediately go out and get something else and read it. Or else I did and I have amnesia. So if you have a favorite Toni Morrison book outside of these 2 that I have, please tell me what it is, because I feel like I really have fallen asleep at the wheel on Toni Morrison, and I totally open to reading another one somewhat sooner rather than later. Counting down, number 2 is a specific book that I have had for decades. I have this copy of Vanity Fair, and I have had this copy. It doesn't look too good on the outside, but it's pretty cool on the inside because it has some really nice color plates. It has black and white illustrations as well. I love the way it looks on the inside. I don't love the tiny print necessarily, but I think I can handle it. And I know that I got this book in the 90s because I remember getting it secondhand. I think I got it at Recycle Books in Denton, Texas. I know that is Priscilla's favorite store. And I started it. I think I read just a little bit of it, maybe the first 50 pages or something, and I DNF'd. I don't know why. I think I was in school at the time. I had gone back to school to get my teaching credentials, so I might have gotten bogged down in class. I don't know. But I never picked it back up, and I have had it for decades and decades, all the way through my career. Now I'm retired. I still have the book, and I still haven't read it. And it looks like a candidate for Victober, for sure. I love the subtitle, A Novel Without a Hero. I actually do not know a lot about the plot. I don't remember. It's published in 1947, and this volume is from the 50s. And anyway, I don't know. Is this delightful? Is it boring? Is it overly long? What is it? Somebody please tell me. Should I read this, or should I just continue to let it linger? I don't know. Do I have to let it linger? Do I have to? So rolling in at number 1. This one, all these other ones, I just feel a little amiss. I feel like, okay, come on, you should read this. Number 1, I feel awful about. In fact, I didn't really realize that this was a white whale until I started thinking about this topic and I was thinking about authors that I feel like I should read more of their work, and there was a lot of them. But this one, as I looked through, I realized that I have not read anything. I have read maybe some excerpts or an essay. I own nothing. I have read nothing. And it is a humongous hole in my reading education. And that is, I will put his picture up here, James Baldwin. Yes, readers, I have not read any of the works of James Baldwin, and I present myself here for your mercy. So, where to start? I am going to go with whatever title comes up the most. That is where I'm going to start. And this is the one I'm prioritizing to put in sooner rather than later, as soon as possible, because I actually was shocked at myself that I have never read any books by James Baldwin. What can I tell you? So that is my list. Had we but whirled enough and time, these omissions would not be such a crime, but they kind of are, because we don't have infinite time. The clock is ticking, and I feel like I need to repair some of these reading regrets. So let me know what you think about my whales. Do you share any of these? Do you have any suggestions for best ways to remedy these omissions in my life? I will be back soon with Friday Reads, in which I will talk about books that are none of these that I am reading currently. So have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.